So, you know it's good when the music dies down. How's everyone doing? That was a little lame. We're going to try it again. How's everyone doing? All right, so what we try to do with the Founder Showcase is get a bunch of really crappy companies, put some spit and polish on them, and make them look good for you. Now, part of that process, though, is you guys conveying positive energy to them, because they're going to really suck if you don't. And if you do, they just might mildly suck. And by the way, it's a very entertaining event, because a lot of times they crash and burn, right? It's the nature of the beast. There are a lot of people out there. It's nerve-wracking. I give them tips like read your first sentence and things like that. Think of your mom when you were young, those type of things. I don't know what that last one means. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Now when it works, it's awesome, okay? And when it doesn't work, it's also awesome, or at least entertaining. So, but here's the key thing. So you have the deciding power. So the point of the event tonight is for these young companies to come up and wow you with their amazing products and ideas. Because we bring together the entire Silicon Valley ecosystem, from reporters, bloggers, and investors, as well as other founders, to support the new guys on the block. Now, and then we pepper in some amazing speakers to make it even more entertaining. Now, but you decide who the best company is. So this is very important. It's important responsibility. And let me talk about it for a minute. So behind me on that screen, when they're done pitching their wares, you vote, okay? And you're going to vote on your PDA, iPhone, or computer. So how many people here do not have a web-connected telephonic device? Raise your hand and leave the room. Really? Dude, are you serious? I can loan you one. I literally have two. Okay, I got a Palm Pre, which is awesome, by the way. And all in the room with the Palm, let's go cry in the corner together. And I've got an iPhone. So who doesn't have a web-connected internet device? We'll find another way for you to vote. You can vote by hand signal or something like that. So when they're done, you're going to vote. You'll see them all off screen. We're going to tally the results in real time so you can see who's winning. Whoever wins your vote becomes a finalist to win something really cheesy. And it's right here. It's frickin' heavy, though. It's made of marble and brass, I think. Probably not nickel, coated with brass. But anyway, it's heavy. So they win that and cash and a whole bunch of other stuff. But again, so you decide who the finalists are. Then we have an awesome judging committee, who I'll introduce in a second. And then they essentially pick the final winner. So it's a combination of audience vote with professional judges. So take your responsibility seriously. I know a lot of you guys want to play favorites. Don't play favorites. Vote for the best one, even if he's your friend or she's your friend. If you think someone deserves it, vote with your heart. Because these guys are building their companies with their heart. They're putting blood, sweat, and tears in it. They're coming up here tonight. As I said, a lot of times they fail and it's embarrassing, but when they hit it, pay them the respect, give them your vote. So let's start with a big warm round of applause for the 10 companies presenting tonight. Woo! All right, so let's meet our first batch of judges. If you don't mind standing up, hopefully you're here. We've got 3 investor judges because we want the investment community to be involved in the decision making to pick the winner. So Charles River Ventures, George, where are you? All right, in the back. Woo! Yay! They are a fantastic firm. I will tell you something that's awesome. He's actually led, am I allowed to say that? Yeah. Okay, he's led, I say a lot of things I'm not, wait till you hear the jokes later on. He's led investments in 2 of the winners of the Founder Showcase. So let's give just another big warm round of applause for that. Woo! A newcomer to the Founder Showcase stage and an all-around great guy is Javelin Venture Partners and Jed Katz. Where are you, Jed? Are you here? Woo! All the way in the front. And then last but not least is Morgenthaler Ventures. They are also a fantastic firm. And last time on stage we announced that Rebecca, the partner, well, she was a senior associate, got promoted to partner right before she came to the event. Rebecca, are you here? Okay, well she has a little time to show up, so we'll give her a warm round of applause when she comes. I'd like to thank a few sponsors and media partners. I'm going to try and say this as fast as possible, and then we'll turn it over to Jason Calacanis. So we got TechCrunch on the media side. Woo! They'll be interviewing Elon a little later on stage. VentureBeat, I'll just read them, save the applause for last. Demo, GigaOhm, Mashable, VC Task Force, JobKnob, BizTech Dev, the one that I hate to say, Boogerless, Hacker Dojo, Plug and Play, and last but not least, FounderSpace. Thanks for the media partners to help us make this event awesome. Woo! And now for the guys who give us money. So they're on that slide right there, so you can always remember who they are. Sphere Consulting, Aon Tax Shield, which is an awesome insurance company, Cooley, a great law firm, Odesk, the outsourced consulting firm that I strongly recommend you check out, Women 2.0, and I want to come back to that in a moment, and Girls in Tech. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a huge proponent of female participation in entrepreneurship. So I'm really happy that we have women organizations who are sponsoring and partnering with us on this event. Well, nothing would make me happier than to see 50% of the presenters and 50% of the tech community led by women entrepreneurs. And I'm happy to say that we have women presenters tonight, and I think that it's a great effort to equal the gender divide in the technology world. So big warm round of applause to our sponsors. All right, last but not least, John and Nima, where are you? Can you raise your hand? So over in the corner there are 2 of my co-workers. We work out of a garage, I kid you not. Janine was there today. And so if you come to our office, it's kind of lame. But when we're here, it's not lame. So if you have any questions about TheFunded, the Founder Showcase, or the Founder Institute, which are the 3 organizations that we sort of collectively try to run, please speak with them. So without further ado, is his iPad all charged up and ready to go? I want to welcome to the stage a prolific entrepreneur, an internet pundit, great friend of mine, and someone who's innovated in angel investing. And if you don't mind me just taking, so Jason Calacanis is a true pioneer in many ways. And one of the things he set out to do at the beginning of the year was create something called OAF, or Open Angel Forum. And the idea was, hey, I want to revolutionize angel investing, which has been progressing, but I want to make it jump forward. And angel investing has saved tech entrepreneurship single-handedly. And 2010 is hands down the year of the angel, and it's due to the efforts of people like Jason, who really push forward, and other partners like tonight, Geotogo Forum, who's offering the winner a prize, which I'll talk about later. These guys are really pioneering angel investing in the US, and that has literally saved entrepreneurship. So, all right, I want a warm round of applause for Jason Calacanis.
Thank you, Adele. Big energy. I didn't know I saved the world, actually, but that's nice. Thank you, Adeo. Congratulations to Adeo and to the graduates of the Founders Institute. I had no idea that this would actually work when Adeo first explained to me the concept. In fact, I said that'll never work. Why would people come to a class on entrepreneurship? They just go out and build it. And then I spoke at it and I said, wow, I wish this had existed when I was in college, because I actually would have started as an entrepreneur 3 years earlier. And I guess some of the folks who are in college or maybe outside of the Silicon Valley bubble, this has been a pretty big advantage to you guys. And for that, I think Adeo deserves, and his co-founders, a warm round of applause. Well done, Adeo. Adeo and I, as you said, are very old friends. We met back in 1994, 95. Adeo has consistently been a couple of years ahead of the market, which has resulted in his failure. But this time he seems to have gotten it right. He actually created a casual games company just, 2 years before Zynga?
Yeah.
Good timing. But he's a great entrepreneur, and the program's great. He asked me to talk a little bit about starting companies and angel investing tonight. And so I've had an up and down career as a entrepreneur, and I thought I would share with you some of the ups and the downs. Maybe there's something you can learn from it, and then we could do a little bit of Q&A. Can I use this chair here? Is that awesome? Thanks. Wow. I'm just going to relax and do this like it's very nice. So I started my career in 1994 as an entrepreneur, a writer actually, and doing something called Silicon Valley Reporter. And that business grew very quickly. It was sort of like the TechCrunch of its day, or it was during the time of red herring. Is anybody here from the .com Web 1.0 days? So we do have some folks, and then some of you started in the Web 2.0 days. And I had no idea what I was doing when I started that company. There was no Founders Institute or any sort of books on entrepreneurship or how to do this. You basically had to fend for yourself. And raised some money for that company and grew it to $12 million in revenue, and then the dot-com burst happened, and it went down to 12 employees and about $500,000 in revenue before I sold it. I went to Dow Jones, who had bought it, and subsequently that's kind of interesting. My boss at Dow Jones brought me in and said, hey, can we have lunch? And I said, sure. He said, let's go for a walk. And we went for a walk after lunch. He said, we really think that you're tremendously talented and everything, but you really need to pursue this blog thing that you've been talking about. And I said, oh, wow, that's great. Are you firing me? And he said, well, we're going to pay you 2 years severance, so it's not really like you're being fired, because you're still going to be paid. And I got fired and started something called Weblogs Inc., which some of you probably know. The brands of Weblogs Inc., Engadget, Autoblog, Joystick. We wound up raising $300,000 in angel investing from an angel, Mark Cuban, who I had met when I was a journalist. And that business grew very quickly. And we sold it 18 months after we started it. And it was a good exit. You can look it up. And it was very quick. But what I wanted to talk about a little bit is the timing. And I wrote a little bit about this today in my newsletter for those folks who get it. Timing is something that you're not going to be able to do perfectly. Nobody knows exactly when something's going to bubble up and it's going to be a hot market, or when it's going to come down and be, the bubble's going to burst and you can't raise money. So what you need to do is focus strictly on your product, because it is the one thing you have control over. And what I've learned over the years, and I used to get very worried about the stock market when it went down in the first dot-com crash. I used to sit there with this anxiety. And what I didn't realize back then was it has really nothing to do with startup life, except maybe on the edges. What startup life is about is really focusing on your product and constantly improving it. The word they use for that is iteration, right? That basically means knowing when you suck and knowing how to suck less. And the way you do that, in some ways, is when you go to raise money from angels. And there's a big angel boom going on right now. Adeo mentioned the Open Angel Forum. This was something I started in the beginning of the year, actually in reaction to Correxiform. Anybody here from Correxiform? Okay. I remember you, yes, we fought online. So anyway, very awkward. Anyway, I had seen that these, earlier this year I had seen, gosh, this Correxiform is charging the TechCrunch 50 companies, which was a conference I had started with Mike Arrington 3 years ago. Did very well for 3 years before Mike told me he didn't want to do it with me anymore. These things happen. And he's doing now TechCrunch Disrupt, and I'm doing something called Launch, which will be next year in February. Anyway, I had gotten some contact from one of the TechCrunch 50 companies who said, should I give my money to Keiretsu Forum to present to angel investors? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, it's $6,000 to present to these angels. And I said, that's interesting, because I know a lot of angels, like Ron Conway and Mark Andreessen and Chris Sacca. They don't charge. What are you paying for? And they said, I don't know. And I said, I started looking into it. And I said, oh, this is bullshit. In the same way I said, you know, that it's bullshit that, nobody's offended, right? Okay. Anyway, I'm just going to tell it to you real. So anyway, I'm sure there's some people from demo here too who will be offended. But anyway, Mike and I, back in the early days of TechCrunch, had dinner and we looked at the demo conference, and I said, you know, that's bullshit, like that they charge $18,500 for a company to get on stage for 6 minutes. We should do a conference where we don't charge people. And he said, well, how would it make money? And I said, I guess we charge for the tickets or sponsors. And we did it. It was very successful. You guys know the companies that launched at TechCrunch 50, Mint, PowerSet, Yammer, and they didn't pay anything. And somehow that conference managed to make millions of dollars for us and was incredibly successful. In fact, before Mike imploded it, I'm not bitter, just say 2010 was not as good a year as 2009, 2008, and 2007 on my income tax returns. But I digress. Thanks, Mike. Anyway, we basically made the premise of the conference, kill demo. Don't charge the entrepreneurs. It's bullshit. And it was very successful. And some entrepreneurs still didn't get it, and they still went and paid them. Other ones left. But you should never pay to present at any conference. That's nonsense. And you certainly should never pay to meet with an angel investor. That also is nonsense. It's not how it works. It's a scam. I'm not saying Keiretsu Forum and the prize tonight is a scam. I'm saying paying to present is a scam. If they charge to present, then it is a scam. But anyway. And I told the Keiretsu Forum, in my own bizarre world, I thought this was appropriate. I said, guys, you have to stop charging immediately. And I would like you to write an apology on your website to the entrepreneurs you have charged. To which they said, who the fuck are you? Why should we listen to you? Blah, 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 blah. And so I kept increasing and ratcheting up the pressure on them to stop doing this. And they started calling my venture capitalists and threatening to sue me until eventually I told them, final offer, you do it or I'm going to launch the Open Angel Forum. And they didn't reduce their fees. I mean, they may have. The person from the Keiretsu Forum will explain later if they still charge or not, but I think if it's a $6,000 value, that means they're charging. And started Open Angel Forum, which is essentially real angel investors who have done 4 investments in the last year. It's now in 8 cities. It'll be in 12 next year, 2 or 3 times a year. In fact, Boulder's tomorrow. And how do you raise money from angels? It's very hard to meet these guys in a lot of cases, and gals. They're very busy. What I suggest in terms of getting on the radar is not emailing them what you're going to do. What you want to do is email them what you've done in a very short and brief way. Today, in the angel space and in the venture space and the startup space, it is so cheap to build a working product, right? Everybody who attended the Founders Institute has actually built something, right? So none of you are pitching a business plan. That's the world we live in today. If this was Web 1.0, you'd be talking about your plan. You would go raise $4 million. You would go give $250,000 of it to a PR firm. You give $1 million to Oracle for your license, and you blow through $3 million, and then you'd start building it. Maybe in year 2 you'd have a site. Today you can build a site very cheap. You guys all know that. Y Combinator, Founders Institute, Techstars, all these amazing companies coming out of there and building great products. So you want to have the product built. You want to be brief, and you want to send them a URL. I can't tell you how many times I get emailed by people telling me what they're going to do and a PowerPoint attached to it. Which is, if any, you can send that to any angel investor, they're going to hit the delete key. Because the benchmark is higher now. You have to have actually built something. If you have built something, the next thing you want to do is have some type of performance to go with it. That's the sort of next level. If you built something and it's good, great, you got your TechCrunch story, you got your Mashable story, maybe you have some users. You want to get some metrics that you can sell to them. Now, if you can't get in touch with them and they are flooded, what you want to do is, I think there's 2 really good strategies. One is you want to build yourself up as an expert in some space through social media. And social media is, a term that's wildly overused, but actually there is something to it. If you create a blog about a certain vertical, so if your startup was in the dating site, if you started a blog about the dating industry, and you start commenting on other companies that are the companies that this angel investor has been involved in, and you start commenting on their blog and writing intelligent stuff and having the same brand as your brand on your Twitter account, on your Facebook page, etc., same avatar, all that kind of stuff. It's a very basic best practice that the person can get to know you. In fact, Fred Wilson at the venture capital firm Flatiron Partners in New York, it's a great firm. You know them from investing in Twitter and Zynga. He hired his latest associate based on their social media presence alone. A blog, a Twitter account, an intelligent conversation in the comments of angel investors or other sites goes a very long way. That is much more powerful for me to run into you in the comment thread on TechCrunch, or the comment thread on Mashable, or the comment thread on Fred's blog, or whatever it is. Or you inserting yourself into the threads on Twitter. Critical. The other way is FOFing, friend of a friend. Becoming a friend of that angel investor and somebody in their orbit, or somebody in their orbit is a lot easier than becoming friends with the person that that you want the money from. So you're going to want to go find those people they've invested in, those people who are their friends, other people commenting on their site, etc. And when you do that, and you can come to Kevin Rose through Jay Adelson or somebody who works for them in their tech department, that's when you have this credibility that you wouldn't have. So now, how much money should you ask for? Right? This is something that comes up a lot. I think people have this question. I am of the belief, if you are not Kevin Rose or Mark Andreessen or some big brand name, Jack of Twitter doing Square, I mean, if you're one of those brand names, you just walk in and say, I have an idea, give me money. Like Mark Pincus comes into any firm, they fight over who gets to give him the money and at what valuation, it doesn't even matter. Probably a lot of the folks in the room are not in the position of Mark Pincus. I wish I was, I'm not. But when you're in that position, what you want to do is create some amount of scarcity, some amount of competition for your deal. Well, how do you have competition for your deal if you're not him or some other very successful entrepreneur? You lower the valuation and you make it a smaller amount of money. What you want to do as an entrepreneur is get wins under your belt. And this is what I've tried to do in my career, is get a little win under my belt. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm persistent as hell and clever. And much smarter people than me have failed, and just that little bit of little win after little win adds up to something. So if you ask for a small amount of money from a small number of people, you will create scarcity and be able to raise that money. Right now, I would say the average person coming to the Open Angel Forum is raising $250 to $1.5 million at a valuation somewhere between $1 million and let's say 5-6 million post. I just raised money for a company, thisweekend.com, which I started, and I offered two of my friends to put in $100,000 for a $1 million post. I could have gone to a number of VCs and raised it a larger amount. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to raise just the amount of money I needed, close quickly, and have the right people involved. Sky Dayton, who did Earthlink, Matt Coffin, who did Lower My Bills, because I know those guys are blown out, they know everybody, and they will create more interest in the company. So the big mistake a lot of first-time entrepreneurs do is they don't know how much they're going to raise, they don't know at what valuation, and they come out being very wishy-washy. Oh, it's great to meet you, Chris Saka, and he says, okay, well, what are you looking to raise? Are you interested? And that's literally what they'll say to somebody like that. It's like, no, come in and say specifically how much you want and at what valuation, and then you want silence. Silence is your friend in negotiations in any of this. You say, I would like to raise $200,000 at a 1 million post, and then silence and wait for the reaction. And what you'll find, probably if you play small ball, like I'm saying, is they'll say, oh, that's an interesting valuation. Now I can own 20% of this company, 10% of this company. You get someone like Chris Saka, or Kevin Rose, or one of those sort of power angels to own 10% of your company at some crazy valuation. What are they going to do for you? You're going to be number one on their list when you raise your A round, or whatever it is. So raise just what you need from, this is for first-time entrepreneurs, just what you need from the person who you most want to have. Now, how do you pick which angel you want? I would look at their track record and actually ask them, can I talk to a couple of your CEOs, people you've invested in. That's that kung fu, like flipping it on them. Like, so when I was meeting with Sequoia and I was talking to Roloff, both over there, who's on our board, I said, yeah, can I talk to a couple of your CEOs that you've worked with, and ones that it's gone well with, or maybe ones that it didn't go so well with, founders? And he was, absolutely, here's a list. Boom, had a list in 2 seconds. But that showed him I was at least thinking about, well, what can you do for me, and how good are you? And people, the YouTube founders and other folks were like, he's aces, he's the best, he's awesome. And, here are the war stories. That's what you should do with an angel. Challenge them a little bit. And close as quickly as you can. Ask for an answer in a period of time. And try to get a no or a yes. Now, if you get a no multiple times, what does it mean?
Keep trying.
It means, if you're a good entrepreneur, that these people are fucking idiots and they don't realize how brilliant your idea is. What it means, if a bunch of more successful people than you, who are smarter than you, don't think that they want to give you their money, something, this is hard to take, might be wrong with you, your pitch, and or the product, or your current execution. One of those things is off, or the valuation perhaps, or your team, or lack of a team, or lack of a track record. And so what you want to do is get a yes or no from them as quick as possible, and from as many people as possible, within reason, 3, 4, 5 angels, and say, Chris Sacca, I really respect your opinion, Kevin Rose, whoever, Dave McClure, and I understand it's a no, and I asked you to have an answer to me by Friday. You can get back to me maybe, and I just want to be persistent. So you want to be persistent, but humble and classy at the same time in the dialogue. You don't want to be a jerk. You don't want to be asking people to lunch because nobody's got time for that. You just want to get right to the point. Chris, I really respect your opinion. You've done a lot of great things. You said no. Can I ask you to be brutally honest and tell me why? What are the things that I'm missing? Because I really want to work at this, and I'm not going to just go do it and try to impress you. I just really sincerely want to know, because you did take the time to look at it. What can I learn from this experience of you saying no? And boy, so many people who come and pitch me on things don't even say that. So they spent the time to pitch me, but they didn't ask me why I said no. And a lot of times I sort of feel like, and this is what happened with the TechCrunch 50 when we were going to companies, I told them why. I don't think the market's that big. Or I don't think that you're the right team to do it. Or I think your execution is poor. Your logo is not good, and your domain name is terrible, and nobody's going to be able to spell that. And those are all signs of quality that I look for. Like, is this design good? If you come out with a site that's not designed well in 2010, when you can go on 99 Designs and spend $500 or $1,000 making a beautiful site, what does that say? Like, it's so obvious it should be beautiful, and I'll be looking for that later. And I'm sure the other judges will be. It should be a good-looking site, and we saw that in TechCrunch 50 year after year. The sites and the caliber got better and better. And if you don't, and then there's a solution for each of these problems. So if they say, I don't like the market, then you can find it in the market. That's obvious. If they say, I don't think your team's so good, you have to look and say, is there anybody I can get who has been on a winning team that this person would respect? So if you're going after Chris Sacca, or you're going after Reid Hoffman, let's say, if Reid Hoffman is, started at LinkedIn, and you find somebody who worked at LinkedIn to join your startup company, and then you go back and pitch Reid Hoffman and says, I know that guy. Wait, you worked for me. That's going to give you that level of credibility. That's what I was talking about before, FOFing, friend of a friending, finding those people and collecting them into your startup. And then, of course, you have this challenge, which is your idea has to be so good, and the amount of equity you offer them has to be so good, that they take a job for you on contingency. In other words, you don't have the money to pay them probably. And that's challenging, but that's why entrepreneurship is hard, and not everybody does it, and the world is filled with people who pick rice and not people who are samurais and have swords. You have to pick which one you're going to be in life. I think you've already picked. You guys want to be samurai and crush it and kill and maim and not pick rice. So then you have to do that hard work. But if you go through all these tests and the execution isn't good and they don't believe in your team, you have to then really go back and reconsider what you've done. And that's the problem I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't do, is that they don't listen to what the market's telling them. If the market tells you this idea sucks over and over again, and your team sucks, you know, if you're not listening, you're not going to be able to adapt. So adapting is obviously critical. Don't waste too much money. I said that already. What else? Oh, questions, right?
Yeah.
So this is almost everything I've learned. When you have a company, when to sell is a question I get a lot. If you're poor and you're broke, like I was with when I was running Weblogs Inc., selling a company for tens of millions of dollars, it's good to do that at any time. I had 10 grand left in my bank account when we sold. Did we sell too early? Probably. But selling too early is how people get rich. Selling too late is how you stay poor. I know this because I was offered $20 million for Silicon Valley Reporter by Alan Meckler, and he loves to remind me of this, and I didn't take it. Why didn't I take it? Psychologically looking back on it, I think I was afraid to have a lot of money, and I felt I would be a sellout. That's my sort of dinosaur psychology of it. I was very scared at that age, 27, 28, to sell and own 85% of a company that was worth $20 million, $17 million. I'm not bitter. I wound up selling it for under $1 million and getting a couple of years' salary. So, but persistence is what it's really about as an entrepreneur. And if you get the opportunity to sell, take your chips off the table and come back, because you will always have another great idea. Intelligent people have $1 million idea every week, every 2 weeks. Ideas mean nothing. Anybody a lot of young entrepreneurs tell me, oh my God, I have this great idea, I want to tell it to people, but how do I know they're not going to steal it? How do you know a VC is not going to steal an idea? Well, VCs don't do any work. That's why they're VCs. No fucking chance they're going to steal your idea, because that would be a lot of work. It'd be 90 hours of work a week. You think Troy Zachary wants to work 90 hours a week? No, he wants to write checks. Oh my God, it's a great VC. But it's true. They became VCs for a reason. They like to pick the winners. They like to pick the horse and the jockey, give them money, let them run, and then take 6-week vacations in Aspen. Where do you guys go? Aspen? You summer in Aspen? Or Greece? Like I said, goodbye. Calacanis. I want to be a VC. Being an entrepreneur, you're a sucker, man. You got to work. VC is a better gig. No, it's not. It's better to build. Where was I? I'm not bitter. I'm bitter about a lot of things. Okay, I'm bitter at your boss for blowing up my multi-million-dollar.
I don't work for him.
Oh, right, your partner. But Paul, if you're looking for a job, Paul, yeah, because I can pay more than Mike and give you equity. How would you like to be part of Launch?
I'm just here to get rich.
That's probably it. So anyway, another question I get is, how do you get attention for your startup? Fight with people. That's worked for me for many years. If you do fight up. Getting attention for your startup, the most important thing is building a brilliant product. And let's face it, if you build a very good product, the marketing should be baked in. No amount of PR is going to help a bad product. And the best companies don't really do advertising. I mean, Apple did a lot of advertising, but I think that's just sort of a victory lap to make themselves and their, seriously, I think it's to make the employees of Apple feel better about themselves, and people buy the products to, not feel like suckers for paying 30% extra. Let's take questions.
All right, man. Wow.
I'm a little bit tired, and I tried to just be honest and pack as much as I could in there.
I had to tell you, dude, so I was sitting there next to George, and we were just like, oh my God, no one ever says this stuff about angel investing. There's seats over here, by the way. That is like the best, practical advice, making it all consistent in your image, silence, not being like, well, what do you think? What do you think? Like, I'm trying to think. Shut up. I mean, it was like fantastic. So let's do some questions. Raise your hand. I'll bring a mic over.
I'll answer any question honestly, brutally. Ask me about any subject.
Samurai? No one has a question? Really? Okay, here we go. If you just say your name and the question.
My name's Seth, and my question is on the opposite side. Now, you mentioned you can go, there's obviously these top brand name angels, Kevin Rose, whoever, but there's a lot of other people with money too.
Yeah.
And how do you view those people What, is it bad to get their money? Should you take their money?
Yeah, no money is bad. That's why they call it money.
You haven't heard of bad money?
There's no such thing as bad money. There might be stupid money or annoying money. That exists. There are VCs who are tremendously annoying. In fact, the majority of VCs are tremendously annoying. There's very few firms that are top-tier firms who actually add a lot of value. Charles River does, Sequoia does, Kleiner does, Benchmark does, Excel does. I'll give you the exact list later, or you can go on TheFunded. So if you need to get money, then you need to take it from whoever will give it to you, because you're
From the opposite.
right.
I'm in a different position where I'm representing almost my father, who could be a potential angel.
Yeah.
We've made one investment.
All right, so here's how it works. I
And
know,
so
this is a-
how do I create a track record?
yeah,
How do you become a name brand name?
I got it.
Okay.
Listen, if you're going to take money from friends and family, you're going to.
I think he's asking, like, he
wants to be an
has
angel?
money, he wants to be an angel. Yeah, how does he become
Oh,
Chris
how do you-
Sacca
Oh.
or Dave McClure?
Yeah. All right, so you're a trust fund kid. You want to know how to be Chris Sacca.
In other words.
I got it. Okay. Number one, if you're, I want to talk to you after because I have a couple of cool investments that you might like. Yes, and use summer and ask them. Perfect. Just like in the movie business, there are people who come in who don't know the industry so well, and they're not known, and they typically get taken, and their money gets taken, and they don't get much in return. So you got to be savvy if you're going to become an angel investor. You are not going to want to be the guy who originates the idea. You don't want to be the guy that finds the entrepreneur and the team. You want to be the guy who gets in on the deal with those 5 other people, because let's face it, your judgment is not as good as theirs probably. They're probably better at picking the winner. So what you want to try to do is meet those people and say, I have money. And you go to somebody like Chris Sacca, who's got a fund, and Dave McClure, who have a fund, and say, I would like to be a limited partner in your fund. My daddy has given me a lot of money. I would like to give you guys $250,000 each. Then you become a limited partner in their fund. I'm busting your balls. I wish my dad was rich. He was a bartender and he was broke. But he's a great guy. But I'm not better.
Hey, you could be rich.
You could be rich. I'm coming for your poor car. So anyway, I would try to become an LP in these things. So you come to them and say, I want to be a limited partner in your fund, and you put in a certain amount. They're going to be your pal. That's like if you go and you tell anybody in Hollywood, like, I want to invest in your next film, you'll be hanging out with stars in the club. So that if you want to get in the club, just become a limited partner. They have to then deal with you, and then you could get yourself networked. Or find the people who are doing Y Combinator, Founders Institute, or Techstars. Because then again, they've been vetted. Work at TechCrunch, Disrupt, or Launch Conference. Not really demo. But, well, the benchmark for getting a demo is you paid, and the benchmark for getting a TechCrunch 50 or Disrupt or Launch is that you earned it. So those would be pre-vetted. Same with Founders Institute companies. You know, the companies here would be pre-vetted. So you're lowering your risk, and that's really what you want to do when you're an early angel. When I came into the space doing angel investing, and I've done 15 in about a year and a half, I started with the people who I knew. Phil Kaplan from Blippi. The guys who founded Engadget, Peter Rojas and Ryan Block, who worked with me on Weblogs Inc. I invested in those companies. Why? I know the founders. They're not going to screw me. They're killers. You know, they have a track record. So just like in poker, you don't want to get creative, you know, and play crazy cards against Doyle Brunson. Not a good idea.
Okay, before you go on poker, let's see, anyone else have a question? That was an awesome answer, by the way. That is exactly what you should do. So,
Hi Jason, Matthias from ShareSquare. I wanted to get your thoughts on the VentureX mass syndication approach versus the traditional approach of having a lead, and when or when not that might be appropriate.
This is something that's relatively new, but did happen during Web 1.0, which is angels taking the whole round. You have some power angels out there, also known as billionaires or centimillionaires, people who have over $100 million. And they can take a bigger bite of the apple. Instead of investing what typically angel investors do, $25,000 to $100,000, they can do $250,000 to $1 million, let's say. So I've had a lot of people say, hey, can I just do my whole A round? In fact, 2 of the companies I angel invested in have been asking me this very same question. I think I can close my A round without VCs. To which I say, okay, some angels will provide more values than VCs, and some angels will not provide more value than VCs. So if you had your choice, which do you pick? It's dependent on which VC firm versus the angels, and which partner at that VC firm. The partners at the VC firms are not all created equal. You'll go on TheFunded and you'll see like, this partner is a donkey. He fell asleep in my meeting. He showed up late. When he finally stopped talking about himself and asked me about my company, I started, and then he started doing his BlackBerry. And if any VC takes out their BlackBerry and starts BlackBerrying in your meeting, they're a fucking asshole. And do not just leave. I could tell you stories about VCs you wouldn't believe. I had a VC cancel on me when I was raising money for Mahalo. I was closing the round with Sequoia, and this friend of mine said, begged me, like, this VC firm wants to meet you. Can you go up there and meet them? I'm not gonna say who they are. I said, okay, fine, I'll meet with them. I fly up. I get off the fucking plane. I'm flying up from LA. And I have a voicemail. So I get my car, I listen to the voicemail in my car. Hey, it's dumbass VC from 25-year-old VC firm. I was talking to my partners and we can't get comfortable with your valuation, so I can't meet. What? Oh, hell no. So I went to his office. Because I'm halfway there already and I fucking flew up for this. It's Jason Calacanis. You don't have a meeting today. I said, I did until about an hour ago. Get his ass out here. And the receptionist went and got him, and he's like, listen, I'm really sorry. I said, why the fuck would you waste my time? What is wrong with you? And he's like, let me take you to sushi. I said, take me to fucking sushi. Never. And I'm going to tell every single entrepreneur I ever meet, never go to this firm. They will waste your fucking time. And you have to have that gangster attitude with VCs, because they will misbehave. I am dead serious. They will misbehave and they think that they're the shit, a lot of these guys. Because they, for some reason, got blessed enough to wind up at some VC firm because they were incompetent and couldn't run a company.
Earmarks for the VCs
2 out of 3 cases. And do not let them push you around, and do not let them fuck with you like that. And you demand an answer from them. You pitch on Monday, you say, I want an answer by the end of the day or an answer by the end of the week. They will respect you. And they will realize that maybe not now, maybe you're not the player now, but in 5 years, they'll be fucking begging you to get in your next startup company. Trust me, because that's what happened to me. They will, if you are just persistent and you respect yourself and don't take their bullshit, you'll do fine. So your question originally had nothing to do with that, but it had to do with angel syndication, and this is a viable option. It is a viable option. And in general, angels, I'll tell you something about angels. In general, angels are investing for the thrill of it, for an affinity for the entrepreneur, or an affinity for the vertical, and for winning. That's what they want most. VCs are in it for a return and to get a 2% management fee every year and to take 12 weeks off a year. That's the truth. So that's 60% of VCs. There's the top third or whatever that want to win. But I would say most VCs don't want to win. They want to coast and get that 2% management fee every year. Because it's a lot of money. It's a great life. You don't have to do any work. But the angels, they want to win. The people you want on your team are people who want to fucking win. And angels want to win more than most VCs do. Now, there are some VCs who are cocky, asshole, want to win at all costs. Those are the people you want on your team. You want people who want to win. And if you look at their track record, and it's like lame companies that have gone sideways, and they won't give you the names of their companies. And when you call those companies, they say, yeah, he shows up for a board meeting every 3 months, and then tells me what's my fucking China strategy, and how do we keep up with Facebook Connect, whatever he read on, TechCrunch that week that got him excited. That's not the guy you want. You want the guy when you call him, they say, yeah, this guy comes to my office, he helped us hire our salesperson. When our product sucked, he actually used the product. They got 3 people in his family to use it and gave us feedback. There are VCs like that. But George will agree with me, it's like a third. Most of these VCs are donkeys. So if you have to pick, I would pick an angel above a VC on average. Unless you get the right VC, you have to consult TheFunded.com to find out who that winner is. Or talk to other CEOs. And they will tell you. I mean, maybe not in front of a whole room, but I will tell you the douchebag who wasted my fucking time and made me fly all the way up here and then cancel him. I mean, you could have just gone into the meeting. I'm not bitter. But I forget nothing.
It's true. It's crazy. Like a trap.
Can you imagine, you could have just sat through the meeting and said, Jason, you are brilliant. I don't think that we can do this because it's against our blah, 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 or we have a competitive thing. They could have just sat through the meeting, and said, my God, you're the most brilliant entrepreneur ever. And then said, I talked to my partners, and became really close, but stay in touch with us, and we think we want to do the next round. As opposed to creating a lifelong enemy who will badmouth you every fucking chance he gets.
Next question, one last one. We seem to get a longer answer. It's like, Jason, yes or no? Douchebag!
I always have to bring it when it's a Deus event.
I love it. In the back. All right, I'll run it up.
I'll give short answers, 30-second answers.
All right, so we'll do 2 more. Here, I'll come around.
So, in your opinion, what's the fine line between being a jerk and being assertive and persistent?
The amount of money you have?
Oh,
The difference between...
The difference between being a jerk and being assertive is how much money you've made in your career. People who are rich get treated differently than people who are poor. No, there's a way to be assertive and firm, which is sort of self-confidence and respect, and you just are persistent, and you say, Jason, I pitched you, it's now been a week, I don't want to email you every 3 or 4 days, but I guess if you haven't gotten back to me in 3 weeks, that's a no. So I just want to confirm it's a no because I have other people on my list that I wanted to go to next, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Boom. So there's just a way to say it that's confident, and you can fake it till you make it. How the hell do I know you don't have other options? And when you say to something, it's just poker, poker, you're lying about some hands, so you just say, listen, I have some other people who want to invest, and I was holding a spot for you. If you're not into it, just if you give me a solid no, I can move on, but I really would love to have you involved in the project, but I understand if it's not a fit, or if you've got too much stuff on your plate. Boom, just be, firm, and honest, and lie. Not your other option.
That was not a 30-second answer. So, with that said, Jason, big warm round of applause. Amazing. He's going to be a judge, so you get to hear more 30-second answers in a little bit. So what I want to do is, we're going to bring our first company up, but they're not in the showcase, okay? This is a graduate from the Founder Institute down in Los Angeles. Just today, yawn, don't yawn, motherfucker. We just announced 2 new locations in Europe, Brussels and Berlin. So we're now operating in 13 cities worldwide. And thank you. And we haze the crap out of young entrepreneurs and old entrepreneurs until they build amazing stuff. So he won the last night, and I promised him a place on stage. We basically forgot. And then, so we wanted to honor that commitment and let him go first. So, without further ado, are we ready? Doppel Games. Big warm round of applause. Woo!
All right. Folks, somewhere in this room, there's an evil monkey. And one of you could be a double agent. Another, a vampire. In fact, unfolding all around us are hundreds of virtual worlds with a range of themes, from the magical to the bizarre. My friends, this is the world of Doppel Games. Compelling story, addictive game mechanics, and a global game board. You play these games on your phone, on your web browser, while you're at home, and while you're away. And why? There's more smartphones in the world today than ever before. And Morgan Stanley estimates that there will be almost a billion GPS-enabled devices by 2014. In the US alone, there are 50 million smartphones today. We're combining the successes of Zynga, Foursquare, and Warcraft. Zynga, fastest company to $1 billion valuation in all of human history. Foursquare, 2 million people regularly checking in and reporting their location out in the world. And who doesn't want to own Blizzard? So our first game is called In the Trees. We're just about done with it. And in this game, teams compete to beat out a band of evil monkeys. And when you arrive at your local Starbucks and you help take control of that location, you run into an opponent in a bar and you battle them in mini games. And when you've got a little bit of spare time, we're going to send you on a mission to gather virtual goods. But that's just the beginning. We've got designs for a vampire game, a detective game, and a zombie game. And the platform itself is perfectly suited for the launch of movies, TV shows, and console video games. I knew it!
Beauty, humans. I am the Monkey King.
Enough from you. We've got a killer team to pull this off. I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. I trained as an engineer, and I've been building game companies for the last 5. My CTO, Eric Radman, is the most brilliant engineer I've ever worked with. He just left his job at a prestigious think tank in Los Angeles to do this full time. The two of us co-founded a group called Sin Labs in Los Angeles, together with 4 other engineers and artists. We released a video for OK Go on the internet and got 15 million YouTube views. We've got a killer board. My father founded Atari and Chuck E. Cheese. Tim Stanley was the former CIO of Gaming and Innovation at Harrah's. He brought Harrah's to their global dominant position in customer relationship management and seized the application for this in the Vegas market. We've got we're in discussions with some compelling launch partners. NBC Universal has a number of movies in their pipeline for the next 12 months that are perfectly suited for this platform. Qualcomm has some impressive tech that would be perfect for our games. And Atari is repositioning itself as a leader in the social game space. The business model is simple. We'll sell virtual goods for both offensive, defensive, as well as decoration in the game. And then there's a number of insertion points inside the platform for both brand sponsorship and retail locations. We just got our first $100,000 in July. We're raising another 200 grand. We'll publicly launch in October, and we're going to be working on our next 2 versions by the end of the year. We're looking to get in touch with these angels specifically, but anybody else who's investing in games, social, and mobile. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, that's a good kickoff to, you're gonna see some pitches now. Judges, can you come up to the stage? Sarah, you're a judge, and if you didn't know, Jason, you're a judge. Stop recruiting. Jed, you're up there, and Rebecca, you're coming up, right? Oh, good. You can bring it back. So, I'm going to lay some ground. So that was good, right? Now, something normally happens that I don't like. And so we're gonna try and do this a little differently, okay? So what normally happens is, like, let's use you, Sarah. You'll say, it's a 1, which would suck, because 1 is bad. And then Jason's gonna be like, yeah, I think it's also a 1. And then Jed's like, I also vote for a 1. And then it's like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's like some weird herd just trampled across the desk and put 1 on top. Now you all have folders. So I'd like you to actually hold up your vote before you say anything so that no one else can see, so that we actually know how you feel and not how the person next to you felt and their reality distortion field influenced you into that vote. What do we screen based on? Well, really not much. It's entertainment value, maybe, because it doesn't matter. These people hold the power. You, on the other hand, just hold a number. So they have power, you have number, but your number probably will influence their voting. So it's how entertaining is how's the presentation style, how good is the idea, does the business model make sense, and you boil that into 1 to 5. We color-coded them in case you forget. Red is bad, green is better. When I drop my paper, and that's always nice, I lost the order. You guys, judges, are you ready?
We're ready.
Do you want to quickly introduce yourselves, maybe starting with George from Charles River?
I'm George Zachary, Charles River. I've been a venture capitalist for 15 years, so I've been trying to avoid the 90-hour work week for like a decade and a half now. I'm one of the early investors in Twitter. I'm also one of the early investors and largest investors in companies like Yammer and Script, and another company called Millennial Media, which is a very large mobile ad network. I was co-founder of Shutterfly and the lead co-investor of it in the 90s. And before that, I actually started and ran the Nintendo 64 game development system at Nintendo in the early 90s.
You know what I love about George? You hack all your devices. He roots everything. And I mean, so for someone who doesn't put a 90-hour work week, you certainly know how to hack like a beast. So big warm round of applause for George. Woo! Rebecca.
Hello, Rebecca Lynn, Morgan Thaler Ventures. I am a partner at Morgan Thaler. I've been there for about 3 years. I'm on the board of Lending Club and Practice Fusion. And I like to think I'm one of the VCs that maybe works their ass off. I don't know, but you talk to the only person that can speak for that are probably my CEOs. So please talk to them. But I definitely haven't had a 12-week vacation, but I would welcome one.
There's just 15 years to go.
Really? Okay. Am I going yours?
No.
Okay. But I love this event. I was here last time. I think it's really fun. It's refreshing, and I love the opinions and the energy here. I think it's perfect. Thank you.
All right, woo! We got a first timer, Jed from Javelin. Samurai.
First timer. I've been here a few times.
First time judging.
That's true. Jed Katz, Javelin Venture Partners. Let's see, I've been a VC for about 5 years now, but most of my career I was an entrepreneur. Starting in the early days of, I think, 1994. Founded RentNet and then founded Move.com, both pretty good exits. Created a product called the Sky Scout, which some of you may have heard of. Was a partner with DFJ Gotham in New York for a little while, and started Javelin Venture Partners with my partner Noah Doyle because of some of the things Jason was talking about. And I think we tend to look for companies that want to work for people, want to take money from people who have been in their shoes before and like to get their hands dirty and want to win, as Jason was saying. Javelin's been around for about 2 years, and I think we just did our 21st deal. So we're doing roughly a deal a month.
I have a little tidbit. You are the #1 rated personal venture capitalist, individual venture capitalist on TheFunded for quite a period of time, like a year. That's pretty hard. That's nearly impossible. Sarah, ladies first, as Jason pointed.
I'm Sarah Lacy. I think I'm the only person here who hasn't been an entrepreneur, so feel free to disregard any of my thoughts on the companies. Though I've been a reporter in Silicon Valley since the late 90s, so I've probably seen more pitches than every VC. I'm editor-at-large for TechCrunch. I wrote a book on the rise of Web 2.0, and I just finished my second book at 10 a.m. Monday morning after pulling all nighter. And about entrepreneurs in emerging markets. So it's just been 2 years, about 40 weeks traveling the emerging world and looking at startups and high growth entrepreneurs around the world. So sort of back to Silicon Valley.
Thank you. Everyone knows Jason. So why don't we go right into the first pitch. Now remember, you want to applaud and transfer your positive energy. Again, if you're standing, we got some seats over here, because some will go well, some may drop you to the floor. First and foremost, the Togo, the Geotogo!
Hi, so my name is Rashid Akhtar, and I'm here to present Geotogo. Earlier this year, me and my co-founder were at South by Southwest, and we saw firsthand the rising trend of location-based services. We use these services to connect with our friends and explore Austin, but realized that businesses were left out in the dark. They were missing an opportunity to connect with us and promote their brands. And so we came up with Geotogo, a simple and easy way for businesses to get up and running with location-based marketing. So Geotogo is a platform that allows you to run contests on existing location-based services, currently Foursquare, Twitter, and Gowalla. As a consumer, you don't have to do anything different. You check in as you normally would, and basically this time, instead of just unlocking badges, you're entering into a contest to win prizes. So let me show you what a business would see when they get started with Geotogo. So as I walk you through our campaign creation wizard, you'll realize that we have a focus on simplicity here. So on the first page here, we asked for a couple of details regarding the campaign, just some basics. Start, end date, brief description. On step 2 of the process, we're going to ask you, if it's a single venue or multiple venues, and you can go ahead and enter that information here. Step 3, this is kind of where the complexity comes in. So this is where you're going to enter in the prize that you want to give away and the contest mechanic, whether it's a single draw at the end of the promotion or a reoccurring draw. Step 4, we allow you to choose the location-based services you want to connect to. Currently, we allow Foursquare, Gowalla, and Twitter. In the future, as Facebook rolls out the check-in services and other services become available, we can easily connect with them. And last but not least, once you've created and published your campaign, we've made it easy for you to go out and promote that campaign using social media, QR codes, and in-store displays. So once you've done that, you just sit back and monitor the real-time performance of your campaign. So basically, as we've shown here, Geotogo allows businesses and promotional agencies to easily get up with location-based services. Yeah, so you can get up and running with location-based services. Right now, basically, we've got 600 companies that we've signed up and are beginning to start using the platform. We're rolling out a tiered subscription model. So $29 a month for a basic package, up to $199 for the professional package. We're starting to look for funding at this point to roll out some of our premium packages, such as white labeling and customizable widgets. Basically, you can think of us as the base camp for location-based marketing. Thank you.
Woo! It's nerve-wracking up here. Judges, you want to not put your little thingies in a special place, and that came out wrong. And flip it around so we can see. Yeah, hold your score up. Jason, you're last. Don't look at that. Oh, interesting. All over. See, not so. Are we recording that? I guess we are on camera. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Should we start with the 2? You can say your number and line. Keep it brief. You can also look up there, by the way, to see it.
I guess my concern is just how defensible it is as a business. I mean, as these platforms continue to grow, I think their big challenge is getting businesses to get on, because they basically have to build a local network effect in each place. So I think they're going to be bending over backwards to get these retailers and different people doing contests on their sites as well. They're very well funded. They have a lot of efforts. I just don't know that I think it's great that you have a really simple UI. Like, I'm not being sarcastic, I actually think your UI is really nice, and that how easy it is to get something up and running. I just don't know how defensible it is over time as a business.
It's a beautiful looking product. It's well conceived and the UI is great, so you get the idea. I gave it a 4, by the way. And I think you're correct in that it's not defensible right now, and that these companies are doing exactly this, or one could assume they're doing exactly this. I'm an investor in Gowalla for full disclosure, but I don't have any inside information. But they're going to do things like this. I'm not saying Gowalla is, but you would assume that their client is the local business. That being said, people are going to want to run contests and these kind of things across them. I think the business model is a little off in terms of $29, $199 a month, the platform kind of thing. I think almost what you'd want to do, because it's complicated, as much as you've made it easy, local businesses are run by normal people, and to get them to like put a credit card in is like 10 phone calls and 5 visits. Open Table struggled for a decade to get people. Yeah, I mean, it is painful to get these people online. So I think what you need to do is take this platform, which is very powerful, and go to them and say, I will run a contest for you and get 1,000 people into your place this week, and become the Groupon of this concept, and actually just do it all for them as a service for $500. Instead of, because it'd be the same amount of time to go there and explain to them, like, oh, you do this. It'd be like an SEO telling the client, here's how to SEO your site. The SEOs who do well are the ones who come in and actually do it. So I think you need to do it for them, because this is way too advanced for most people.
And you need to charge more. I think sometimes small businesses, like a lot of the software as a service and open source companies that launch like 5 to 7 years ago. If you go back and talk to the entrepreneurs, one of their biggest mistakes they said they made in hindsight was not charging enough. They were so coming out of the bubble and trying to be low cost and scalable, and at the end of the day, it's a psychological thing with businesses. It's a tricky finding that price point, but like if you're saying this is a $29 product, they're saying this doesn't matter to me, I can have an intern go do it.
Go.
Obviously, it's tough to evaluate something like this in the 3-minute pitch, but I think just real quickly, the two things that popped in my mind were like they said, I didn't think it was a sustainable advantage. And second, you would have, at those prices, you would have to get many tens of thousands of customers to become a big business. So I think there's a different model where your system would make a lot of sense. I thought it was a very clean system, which I like. But I think you need to. What score do you give it? 2.
I give it a 3. I mean, there are examples of the sweepstakes contest and services being offered on Facebook and other social networking platforms. I agree that it's not incredibly defensible, and I don't know. I've made mistakes before in terms of saying that somebody else will just do it in terms of the platform provider, and many times been proven wrong. So I hesitate to ever say that. And in fact, I remember when I was at NextCard running marketing, and our investors said, don't put any more than 5% of your marketing budget on Google ever. And that was when Google was just coming out because they might go away. So that was really
Whatever happened to Google?
And we were funded by we were funded by some pretty good investors. So that was interesting. But I think that the key thing for anything like this is figure out a way to share on the upside. I see a lot of these companies that have come out with $10,000, $20,000 subscription, the bigger companies attacking brands. But the key thing for me is, okay, how do you share on the upside if it really works? And I think that's what I would look for here.
George.
So I run our partners meeting every Monday, and we have a scoring system that's very similar. But I will not let anyone vote 3, so I've abolished 3.
I forgot about the abolishment.
And there's a
we
very
were going to not even print 3, actually.
That's a great policy, by the way.
Yeah, which is either you're going to write the check or you don't. So either you're 1 or 2, meaning horrible or I don't like it, or you're a 4 or a 3 or a 4. Actually, there is really 3. But there is no one can be 2.5 or 2.6 or anything. So it's, do you write the check or don't you write the check? In this case, I couldn't write the check. I'm actually at 2. The reason why is I probably get 1 pitch a day over email or in person of people doing almost exactly the same thing. And to me it's concerning because I can't actually tell what the real competitive advantage is. I thought your presentation was good. It would have been great if you covered, this is your advantage over the other competitors. Then I would have put you actually as a 4.
All right, good sage advice. Let's try and keep the advice a little shorter because we got a lot to go. But next, but I love it. Don't mind that. So next is someone who has a way. If you're a tourist, it's actually a tourist way. Welcome Stefano to the stage. Woo!
During ice season at Kochi Island, you will end up on a crowded beach. Or, if you know your Sukoski, you might enjoy yourself learning kite surfing and end your day with no one around drinking your Cuba Libre. I'm Stefano Bertacchi, and Touristway is a web application for small operators like yours to create their own travel portal and bring you unique travel ideas you will never find on Expedia. But does it make sense for someone like you to completely ignore a large travel aggregator like Expedia? Since the old time of the travel agency around the corner, technology hasn't made the way we reserve our holiday actually simpler. We do enjoy the experience of creating just the perfect vacation every single time. And for that, we want to use all the social tools around. This is a great opportunity for small operators with original travel ideas and efficient sales strategies to get exposure without needing a big advertisement budget. So 90% of small travel operator has just a static website and the contact form. So when they go out and look for a new website, they certainly consider the option of turnkey web templates. They are really nice usually, they are cheap, and they offer always some kind of content management system. What they don't have is that online booking features we as travelers expect from a travel portal. So having a website doesn't mean you actually are ready to accept online bookings. And here is where Touristway comes in. Touristway is a web application to create, in few steps, a brand new travel portal. It's like Expedia in a box. On the front end, Touristway is a polished web presence with professional online booking features, dynamic packaging tools, and an attractive design. On the back end, Touristway is a set of tools to customize your travel portal, handle the relationship with suppliers, load your listing with pricing, availability, and discounts. Touristway is a software as a service, and it starts from $89 per month. We launched in the beginning of the year. We allocated a small AdWords budget, and what we get now is 200 users per month signing up for a free trial, and we converted 3% of them to paying customer at an average of $130 per month. Our customer like the product, and traction is promising, so we plan to scale from here and go after 600,000 small travel operators that are basically mom and dad operation or independent contractors that work from home. Touristway will make sure you don't end up on a crowded beach. So vote for us.
You can stay up here. You don't have to sit down. Come on. Secret ballot.
Okay.
Whoa, lots of variation. Why don't we start with George? Short and sweet feedback.
I could not understand who your customer was or exactly what the product really did. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, I can explain what it is. Basically, people build a website.
Was that an accent, though? Can I ask a question? Was it more the accent, or?
I think it wasn't explicitly stated.
I know what it is, though. And correct me if I'm wrong.
It's psychic.
You provide travel tools for people who run tours and whatnot to manage their inventory and plug that into their existing website. So like an e-commerce, system, but for travel inventory.
Right.
So it's basically
with weird specialized booking stuff.
Right.
I mean,
And,
if you saw the screen, it sort of showed that a little better. Rebecca, let's just go down there.
I'm sorry.
What was your number?
My number's a 2.
Oh,
So, yeah, sorry. This is not something I would invest in. I think your marketing challenge is substantial, trying to go after these small businesses that are what the travel agencies are. So I like the fact that you've run your test on AdWords, but I think you're going to have to find a channel partner or somebody to help you go out and reach these people. And I don't think at the end of the day it's a huge business, but I think it could be potentially interesting for an individual.
I think even in
your number is
well, I give it a 4, but even in your 3-minute pitch, I think you need to talk about your sales strategy, because what I love about it is that, like you said, there's 600,000 potential customers, and if you figure out a way to get a chunk of those, this could be a very decent business. So you need to cover that. Again, in just 3 minutes, saw the product, it looked like it was clean and good, it looked like this is needed, the price seemed fair. So that's my quick answer.
Jay?
I think actually it may not be a venture business, because there is that, does it get big enough, and you've solved a very specific problem which they're going to love you for, and clearly you put the client testimonial in there, which the first company didn't do, so that was something that really was a good move, and you had revenue, so you had more proof points. Like, both of you built a product, one of you had revenue. I'm assuming you guys probably had revenue but didn't put it in your presentation. I think that it could make a lot of money, and it'll be one of those slow growth businesses, but it'll be reoccurring revenue. The pricing, you might want to just go to $1 per booking, which is what OpenTable did. So we talked a little bit earlier about that. It might be a better model than this, I got to put $285 into this every month. What if it doesn't work? Hey, $1 a booking, well, I'm making money, they're making money.
Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know that it's a billion-dollar company, and I also had some of the questions. But one of the reasons I gave it a 3 is I think this market is amazing. I just think travel has been barely the surface scratched online. I've written about this on TechCrunch some. I think what JetSetter's doing, I think there's small companies like iEscape that's like aggregating these amazing tropical vacations that do not build websites and don't have booking. And it's so hard. I mean, look, I just was in other countries for 40 weeks, so I've spent a lot of time looking for hotels and looking for beaches, and especially internationally. In the US, we've done it okay, but internationally, I mean, TripAdvisor doesn't do this. These sites don't do this. You can't even book international flights online very easily. I mean, there is a massive market for uncovering amazing tourist opportunities, and we stayed at an amazing hotel.
That sounds like a 4.
3 hours away. But I was unclear. So I love the market, but I had some issues like George. I was sort of unclear on the business model. No, because it's an open table problem. You have to have amazing sales and marketing to go out and line all these up. And that's why it wasn't a 4 and why it was a 3, is I would have also wanted to hear a little bit more about how you're going to really nail it on the sales and marketing, because this is a 5-10 year rollout to sign all these guys up and build a big business.
All right, so
These 2 first ones were quite good. Just because the judges say something, someone's business card. I'll find that later. Just because the judges say it's a 3 doesn't mean you can't vote for it, because their opinion doesn't matter to your vote. Your vote only matters right now. Later, their opinion's the only thing that matters. All right. So next, and not last, a couple more to go. Tribe Vibe. May the vibe hit your tribe.
Hey there! Tribe Vibe tracks and measures the impact of content across the real-time social web. 10% of internet users produce most of the content consumed by the other 90%. And there's a drumbeat around that content across Twitter, Facebook, Dig, StumbleUpon, and more than 350 other popular social networks. Every content producer, every marketer wants their drumbeat to be heard. But articulating and understanding resonance, your impact, today is time-consuming and difficult. Meet this man, Michael Arrington from TechCrunch. Some of you have. TechCrunch doesn't have the raw traffic of CNN, but it has incredible influence within its target audience, and that attracts advertisers. But Michael has a problem. Every time he publishes an article, he needs to stay on top of the response rate so he can articulate to advertisers and marketers and his audience why they're better than VentureBeat. He needs to stay on top of who else is writing about what they've covered. He's got to stay on top of the comment stream, the promotions happening across Facebook and Dig. What's happening on Google? How's he showing up in search? What's the chatterbox happening out on Twitter like? He needs to stay on top of his Bitly clicks, his tracking systems, his Alexa ranking, and compete his own internal analytics systems, and what's happening across the rest of the social web. 25 million bloggers, publishers, marketers, and social media enthusiasts face this same problem. They spend an average of $1,800 a year on their online presence. The top 10% spend over $7,000 a year, and the top 2% over $20,000 a year. Traditionally, media spends 1.7% of turnover on analytics out of a $450 billion market. TribeVibe lets them see how their content is seen, shared, linked, and talked about in a single view. It lets you rank your content and your competitors. It lets you compare resonance, understand your audience engagement, and join in the conversation as a marketer or a publisher while it's hot. And for publishers, it lets you actually put a badge on your blog or on your site that demonstrates social proof, that shows to your audience and your advertisers what's happening so they can jump in too. Underneath this is some groundbreaking computer science, a massively distributed real-time search engine with a proprietary algorithm that tracks and measures social impact and generates a resonance score based on activity as it happens. We've got a freemium revenue model, URL tracking, and the badge are free. Advanced analytics, advanced reporting, custom integration are in the pro and corporate versions. Unlike all the other tools out there, this brings it together in a single view to track your activity everywhere. It unifies information from clashing systems, and it reports in real time, not weeks. Customer acquisition, we're going after the top 10% that I talked about. Social media mavens, we're launching with mummy bloggers at Blogger. We're launching invitation access tonight. More than 5,000 users have already requested invites, and we've got high support. So don't bang your drum in the silence. Come and see us afterwards and feel the vibe with your tribe. Thank you!
had that pregnant pause there, I was worried. Is it going to be the first freeze of the night? But you recovered really well. I'm like, write your first sentence down. So I guess we ended on this side. We might as well start with the social. Oh, you show your score. Okay. A little harsh. Don't let it influence you. No, I'm teasing.
Well,
Shoot.
My first thing would be you should probably redo your pitch because Michael Arrington doesn't do any of those things. So it's sort of a flawed premise.
He barely writes
I'm sorry,
anymore.
as a report, as an old media person who's kind of become a new media person, it makes me think you don't know the market. I mean, frankly, I think the people you're aiming at don't need this. I think it's all the people that are underneath that probably will pay you because they're desperate enough to try to manufacture some sort of, this is my badge on this. I mean, if it were up to me, we'd have all the badges gone off TechCrunch. I think they're meaningless. I think our traffic and all the things that you said, our influence, our revenue is what matters. I think retweets, I think all of this is like a lot of stuff that actually doesn't matter that much. So the reason I give it 2 and not 1 is because I would be curious to see the algorithm, because I do think there is an algorithm in there somewhere. It's impossible to know from that if you've nailed it or not. But I'm concerned you don't know the audience.
I think that you should do a startup on building boring PowerPoint presentations. Honestly, this was terrible. I hate to be Simon Cowell, it was terrible. You did a horrible job. It was all salesmanship. It was all sizzle and no steak. You said a bunch of bullshit about the social media this and that and the percentage of money people spend on their website. And then when you went to show the product, you're like, and here's an ugly product, boom, next slide. This is about your product, not about bullshitting and PowerPoint presentations. You should have done the opposite. 99% product. Here's a feature, here's a feature, here's a feature, here's a client, here's a client. And what you did was, here's bullshit statistics, here's really good-looking illustrations and all this kind of stuff. You have the right idea. There is something in this space, and you presented it like a bullshit artist. But I don't have that big of an opinion about it. The reason I'm pissed off, but the reason I'm pissed off is because I know this could be good.
Find that nice place deep
I thought
inside.
it was the best presentation I've ever seen, personally. That's right. I got it checked right here. Actually, my complaint with it is that it's just a very crowded space. I think measurement's important, reach is important. I'm not sure if you're tracking all the right things or not, but again, short presentation. But it's just we've seen so many things in this general area. It's tough to pick one that's going to set themselves apart from the others.
You can also find a nice place.
Yeah, I'll find a nice place. You're really mean.
You have to be honest because there's something good here, and I'm sure there's a good product. We just didn't see it.
That's right. So interesting. So for me, I gave it a 2. Analytics companies we tend to not get really excited about. The multiples on them are typically not what we look for in venture, although there are exceptions. There's definite huge exceptions, right? But it wasn't clear to me. Like you said, I've seen probably 5 or 6 of these deals in the last month or so, and a few before. So tell us how you're different, and tell us what kind of traction you have. That's what really matters. Who's using the product?
George?
I was a 2. Being an early investor in Twitter, I hear people with a very similar value proposition, and it was a frustrating pitch because I'm like, show me the product. So I have the same comment as everyone else, which is you really have to show the product and show why it's so much better than everyone else's product.
Well, I throw this out. Why don't I think you have a booth, is that right? Go show the product. All right, so, woo! So our next presenter, Lauren, are you coming on up? So a little known fact, and he doesn't talk about this because he's shy, and I found this out. This gentleman wrote, "Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?" So. Shit. Like, what? That's just cool. Like, I don't. He doesn't even bring it up. It's like an afterthought. He's all about what's next, which I appreciate. So I'm sorry to say that, but Lauren Elliott, inventor and founder, welcome to the stage, Seaport. Woo!
Founder of Seaport, and we're effectively the FaceTime phone company. I'm going to apologize at the front of this because I'm one of these guys that do use notes in my keynote presentation, and we've just had a glitch, so I can't see them. So we're just going to go from there. But this all started about a year ago when I wanted to find a better solution for keeping my family and friends connected. This is my aging mom in Davis and my daughter and grandkids down in San Diego. So what I did was I got together the best of the internet video solutions I could find and sent them out to the family. But it didn't go well. I wanted to do something better than the telephone. So again, I sent out webcams and I sent out video phones and I sent out all the typical software. This is what I got from my brother. Lauren, I just spent a couple of hours trying to get the damn thing running and I have no idea if it's working. And this was typical of my family and what they responded. So what I did was realize that all of the things about these solutions all share the same faults. They're all difficult to set up and use. They all had poor quality. They frequently lost connections. They required a computer to be up and running to receive the calls. They couldn't be used by young and old. And they couldn't share the casual moments that kept family and friends together. My quest is shared by a lot of other people. There'll be nearly 500 million people in 2015 making over 30 billion video chat calls, spending about $6 billion on subscriptions in that time period. Along with the fact that the existing phone solutions are dead, we needed something new. So what I did was I got together the best of the group I could find, the best software, hardware engineers, video compression guys, and industrial designers, and came up with a new device that was putting together high-end video hardware, new algorithm for video compression, a touch screen for ease of use, and I came up with a solution that is it's a new solution that keeps people connected real-time, live, and with video telepresence. So it's on all the time, and it's a persistent video solution. That's my kitchen up in northern San Francisco. That's my grandson in San Diego, and he just called me to tell me how he's lost his front tooth. But it's a platform also. It's really a platform. It's more than cool hardware. It's all about sharing. So you can take a snapshot. You can share it on Facebook or with your friends. You can order a print of it. You can record and share a live video of what you're looking at. You can adjust the camera remotely so you can keep it in focus. And it's available if you're away from home and you want to still share those moments. It's available as live with our live mobile chat platform, and available on all the iPhone 4s. Our business model is very straightforward. What we're doing is getting the original devices out there by partnering with a key partner. We're then opening up this platform as an open source. We're helping them as additional manufacturers, helping us grow the base, which will increase our subscription revenues because we're a subscription-based software company, really, which will design new devices and keep this kind of whole circle going together. It happens that just recently, about a month ago, we partnered with one of the world's largest multinational corporation, and Adeo always tells me I can't say what it is, but it rhymes with Kodak. And we're using their namespace, and they are partnering with us to help us manufacture the product, and they will market and distribute it. So we're effectively a software platform that's working with them to develop this. We expect revenues of over $100 million in 5 years, and we'll be launching at CES in 2015. And thank you very much.
Sorry about the notes. So put your score. Secret score it. Sure, ask away.
It's a two-parter. One, why are you releasing in 2015? And second, what is the price point you're looking at for this device?
It's releasing CES next year, if I didn't say that. And it's
not 2015.
No, CES next year. Those are the stats for 2015.
Oh,
I could have easily just
See, this is what and then what is the price point you're aiming
It's
for?
under $200.
Okay.
Sorry. My notes.
Your score. The winner so far. Very well. We're pretty close. So we start now with George.
Yeah, I love the category. I love the space. Apple is going to squash you like a small mosquito. Apple is the number 3 laptop maker with iPad now. They're going to have 7 million more units by the end of the year. I just don't know how you compete against it. I'd love for the company to have a strategy that takes advantage of the iPad so you don't get into having to make the hardware and compete against them. If you did, I would write you a check on the spot. I'm not kidding.
Well, talk to him. He may. He actually has the devices here, by the way.
That was my main question: is what is it? What is the device? What, you know, in terms of what's the connectivity issues and things like that. The other thing is it's hard to do a device and get that manufactured, get it out there into the consumer's hands. It's really impressive that you have the Kodak deal. I'd love to know more about it because I think that's what makes or breaks you, just like Roku had Netflix. So,
It's a company that rhymes with Kodak.
sorry.
No, it's
Kodak.
maybe
Yeah.
Kodak.
So I'd love to know more about that deal. I think that's really important here.
I think it's really hard to get a hardware company funded by VC, but if you can use your device just as a way to get this thing launched and show how great it is and easy it is to use, but eventually it works on the iPad and other tablets in a much easier, really you just become a software company at that point. That becomes very interesting too.
I give it a 3. I have a live video from the nursery in my house right now, and I see that my wife is in the nursery with our daughter. It's incredibly compelling to have this with me all the time when I travel. I look at this for hours a day when I'm at work, but I had to put it out.
Dude?
It would be my wife.
It's not better.
Too easy.
So anyway, it's not the poker race. Anyway, its video is incredibly compelling on these devices. George and everybody else is correct. You do not want to jump in front of the Apple train. That being said, the people said the flip camera should not jump in front of the Kodak train. So if you can make a Linux-based device that is $100, like a frame, that has Wi-Fi in it, or like $129, something like that, that you could buy for a Christmas present or without thinking and buy 3 of them, and then also be compatible with the iPad and the iPhone and run the central server, you would have a very cool business. I would
It
invest
is
in
compatible with the iPad.
Yeah, I think I would, if this can become a $100 device, I would invest in it because I would buy 5 of these. And it's pretty compelling, but at $200 and $300, and then Apple, there's so many risk factors.
I'm not defending you, defending.
I know, it beats me
I'm
on.
not supposed to say anything.
So I'll be quick for once. I like 3 things about it. One, it's technology design, not for people in this room, obviously. And Jason, I guarantee you my mom could not set that up.
No.
I like the idea it's technology combined for people outside the room through a mass market brand like Kodak that is not sort of doesn't have this technophobic thing. 2, under 200, which was what I heard. I think there's a massive difference. When I got out of the Apple store with my iPad, I had spent more than $1,000 buying the difference. So it is an expensive device. Under 200 is a massive price point difference for the mass market. And 3, I mean, it sounded to me like you were taking a software strategy while going through a device. So, I mean, what I got from the presentation was you are going to be compatible on other Apple devices. You certainly showed an iPhone. So those are the things I like. And you're doing a device. I mean, it's a different company, which I love.
I'm making it a 4. I think we'll give 1 more point.
All right. Woo! So victory is yours. Now there's 1 more, and then you vote. For people who are standing, there are seats. So we got an Ergolution. Ergolution, come up to the stage. So big warm round of applause. Let me take a little introduction. You are the last, so I want you to evaluate this and start thinking of who you want to win, because then we're going to do the voting. So without further ado, let me turn it over.
Hello, I'm Carissa Shaw, CEO of Ergolution. If everyone would take a moment and look under their chair, some of you will find an ergonomic injury. You guys have been spared. If you didn't find one, that's good news. We have good news for the rest of you. We have a solution. Ergolution is a software as a service tool designed to eliminate ergonomic injuries. Let's talk about the problem. Corporations are spending $43,000 per injury and $150 billion a year. Are you still finding injuries? Is that the laughter? Okay. Well, employers are too. I have 10 years experience working with global corporations, ran AOL's global ergonomics program 10 years ago, and found that there was a gap in the market for this. Let me explain how this works. Say somebody like Adeo has some wrist discomfort. He would go online to our solution, log in, talk about his discomfort, and then go through a self-evaluation tool that then would be tracked by the human resource manager so they can spot ergonomic injuries before they happen. This is some of my corporate experience, and we've had amazing results doing injury reduction programs for these companies, as much as $500,000 a year in savings. Our management team is top-notch, and we've started several companies, and Gibby McCaleb has started the company AccuScore and has just joined our team as the Chief Operations Officer. Now, our advisory board has experience in global HR consulting, and she helped to frame our product so it would be in compliance with HIPAA and OSHA regulations. Our business model is licensing to corporations in insurance, healthcare, and high tech. We can't write proposals fast enough. Our product is already developed. We had a great meeting with Travelers, and they want to provide this service to their clients. We had another 2 meetings with other insurance companies, and they're so excited about implementing this solution. These are all potential partners. We don't have all of them yet. So as far as competition, let's talk about that. Really what's out there right now are stretch breaks, and they're really focused on the employee and making them more comfortable at work. Our solution is really more about the human resource professional and the ergonomist, making their job easier and tracking these tools and injuries. So looking at our projections, we're projected to be at 27 million within 5 years. The great news, like I said, the product is developed. And we currently have 5 pilot clients that are ready to use the product. Our investment, we're seeking $500,000 to fund our marketing and sales efforts, company infrastructure, and patent strategy. It's time to eliminate these injuries. Join the Ergolution. Thank you.
All right, last numeric score. Okay, well that was a little painful. I thought it was like a much higher. I thought if you added them all up, that would have been my score. So, my repetitive wrist injury, yeah, you know, it happens in my line of work. Who are we on?
That's my turn. I really want to love this company because it's a space that I don't hear a lot of pitches at, and like I do tend to at TechCrunch get frustrated hearing the same pitch over and over again. I can't for the life of me tell what you do from that presentation. I have no idea what the product is, and I was a little bit irritated by you putting up a slide with logos of people that aren't your partners. And when I saw the slide, I thought, oh, I'm friends with Zach Nelson from NetSuite. That's interesting. And then and like all the other companies, like, oh, that's a good company. And it was like, they're not all our partners yet. And then you've got, and I was like, wait, what bait and switch was that? So like, Frank, that didn't leave a good impression, I gotta say.
And so you didn't show the product, which means you can't evaluate it. And when you don't show the product, you don't build any credibility. When you show a product, you start to build credibility in your ability. Your ability is good. You're a speaker. You identified a great space. That's all nice, but ideas are easy. Execution is hard. Everybody's looking for execution in this world, not ideas. There's too many ideas, not enough people who execute. So you put yourself in the bucket of people with ideas, even though you may have great execution. Show the product. And every time you're making a statement about what you do that's excellent, that has to be on the screen in your product. So if you say, it's great because of this reason, that has to be represented in the presentation. And it's just, you know, everybody wants to love it, but like the other presentation that didn't show the product, you can't evaluate it, and just, you don't want to be in that bucket. You want to be in the I'm proving myself bucket. You have, what is the product? Tell us right now. What is the product?
Yeah, I still don't understand what
you do. Is it a website? Is it video conferencing?
Software as a service.
Okay, that's a very general category.
That's a work injury prevention. Oh, I wasn't done yet.
Yeah, okay.
It's software as a service, work injury prevention. So
Say
it's
yes.
licensing. Yeah. Oh.
It's a web service with licensing, is that correct?
Yeah, it's licensing. So employees would pay per employee.
My wrist hurts.
Yeah.
I have carpal tunnel, I think. What do I do on your website? What do I see? Describe it. What do I see? Do I see a video that says do this?
You want me to describe it? Or,
yeah.
Okay, so basically you would log on and
this is highly unusual. We normally don't. I'll let it run for a minute.
It is hard to.
We don't know what it is.
I don't understand what it is still. Software as a service doesn't help me. Licensing doesn't help me.
It's a self-evaluation tool so that you can learn how to adjust your chair and
Fill
gain
some things
information.
out in a form,
Yeah.
like my wrist hurts, and then what shows up.
Yeah, so then you get information about specific stretches and exercises you can do, and then how to adjust your chair and keyboard tray and things like that. Yeah.
So I fill out a form and I get advice.
Yes.
To prevent the injury, and then the key differentiator, which you said, is that the other people
Well,
learn.
the tracking. So
Right.
for the human resource manager, they would track it so that they can.
So
strategically
everyone's in the
prevent-
loop, the insurance company.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you really ever only have 3 minutes to pitch, you're just trying to pique someone's interest, so skip 80% of the stuff that doesn't matter, just totally focus on product.
And the thing that amazed me is I wanted to like this company a lot. I was excited about seeing this because I do a lot in the health space, in the more consumer health. And so no idea what the product is. And then in one I think you said that you had 5 beta clients. Well, tell me how that went, because you showed all this pipeline up there of these random people are talking to us, but that means nothing. But if you've got 5 beta clients, okay, tell us about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Nothing to add.
Sometimes it's good. Well, let's give a big warm round of applause. Ergolution and the repetitive stress injury of the wrist. You can check her out, and Ergolution, they have a booth. Now, we're putting up here is how you vote. It may not be the best looking slide, but and you have a vote. It just is one, not like, but you've influenced others. Don't let bad votes change your mind. If you love a company, vote anyway. So you can get an iPhone app at called MyQaa, M-A-Q-A-A, or in the App Store and cast a vote that way. Or you can go to the mobile web, showcase.myqaa.com. Now, when you go there, you enter 1098. That's the password that will bring you to this vote. I'm going to give you a minute to get queued up, and then we'll show the real-time results. Let's talk about them. I really liked all these companies, honestly, despite the fearless judging otherwise. Geotogo, if you recall, was an interactive tool to plan your simple check-in marketing. Touristway was a pretty sweet looking, lots of product. I was like, that was probably the second most product to Seaport, or tie, about booking tools for small travel operators. TriVibe, who got beaten up because his secret algorithm for social media measurement did not show enough product. It's like skin on stage here. For you second round people, show some skin. Seaport, lots of skin. There's a lot of product in that. And last but not least, Ergolution, who hopefully you remember. It was like 3 seconds ago. Is it time to show the votes? Have people voted? Like, raise your hand if you've actually cast a vote, or you're struggling with tech. Struggling with tech. Are we down or something? What? Oh, I'll give you another minute. I don't want to influence your votes with. Here's the good news, though. We get to drink. Shortly after this, we will have drinks, and then we will come back for round 2. And then we'll hear Elon and Sarah talk about things. I don't know if he can't do better than you, my friend. You are awesome.
He's more successful than I am, so he's inherently more interesting to listen to.
Oh, you're mentoring, that means he can be more of a jerk.
But he's not. But he's actually a really sweet guy. So I'm just pointing out the ironies of the world and whatnot, and how to navigate them as.
I can't be a jerk at all.
Do I need to separate you two?
No, we all are old friends. But I'm not.
He's not better. How's the voting doing? Let's pull it up. I'm interested either way. It's like 3. Oh! All right, we've started. Oh, wow. Maybe I shouldn't show it. Well, sometimes real time hurts feelings. You still have time to
It's all in
vote.
the spirit of learning. To the folks who got beat up a little bit, I only say
So
that
two we saw the most product.
because I want you to do better and learn from it before you get into an actual meeting with a VC or an angel, and so you can kick ass with that. Show the product, build your credibility is the lesson, and we all learned that tonight.
So we'll keep the voting up there for 4 minutes and 22 seconds. When that counter goes to 0, you can change. Your vote counts. It doesn't feel that way right now, but it still does. It counts to the people in the front row. So don't be shy with your voting. And if you have finished voting, and judges, you may want to recuse yourself and have a nice glass of wine. Prep social lubrication for your next evisceration of young dreams. So wait, big warm round of applause for the first round.